Good morning. It is a bright and sunny start to the week, and this week we've only got the one recording in the studio, but it is a full day that they've booked out. So we're going to be recording 6 4-person video podcasts in one day. It's quite a big undertaking, but we're really excited to do it, and this is the reason why we wanted to get those sound panels hung from the ceiling. So that's the focus for today: get those sound panels hung, ready for the recording that's happening tomorrow. So we got the sound panels to hang from the ceiling, but what we need to do is we need to attach brackets to the panels so that we can hang them from the ceiling. So to do that and make sure that they're all perfectly spaced, I created a very janky template out of cardboard over the weekend so that we can make sure that all the brackets are equally spaced out so that when they hang, they'll actually hang perfectly level as opposed to being on a wonk. So I'm just going to do that for the smaller ones, and then we're going to do that for the bigger ones. And then Nick and I are going to try and suspend them. What could go wrong? So we've got these hooks that we attached to the drop ceiling that we're going to suspend the sound panels from. We've checked to make sure that we've got support from the drop ceiling going directly into the roof from above these points. So I'm not too concerned about putting any additional weight on the drop ceiling. So let's get the first one up. I'm blocking the camera.
Perfect.
There you go.
Wrench it out a bit.
Cool. I'd say that's good enough.
Yeah. I think that's a nice height as well.
Okay, so the first panel is up. So we've got it up here. You can see. Da-da-da-da. So we're now going to attach the brackets to the 3 largest ones so we can then get them up. And then once the 3 large ones are up, we can then work out where we want to place the 2 other smaller ones. So we've almost finished putting up all the sound panels on the ceiling. We've just got 2 more to do. And I thought I'd just quickly show you how we're actually mounting these to the ceiling. So if I just spin you around, there we go. So these are the brackets that we put into the panels. And then we're using this kind of metal wire cabling that goes all the way up to the hooks that we installed at the start. And then if we pull on this bit here, we can then adjust it and kind of make it shorter. And that's this point that we're at with all these other panels that we have up. So we've got all this kind of excess kind of metal cable that's just kind of suspending over the edge of the panels. So all we just need to do is just cut those off. And then once that's all done, we're finished with a lovely panel like this one here. So we finished all the sound panels, and now we're just getting ready for the recording that's going to be happening tomorrow. So just setting up the space, setting up all the microphones, testing out the lighting, and basking in how great the sound panels look. So it's about 7:45 in the morning, and we're just doing the final preparations for this recording that we have all day today. We have the house lights on. We never have lights on, just so we can make sure that everything is clean and tidy, ready for the recordings that are happening. Picked up catering. We're providing catering today just because the client's going to be in for the whole day. So there's going to be about 20 odd people coming through the studio today. So we've got catering for everyone. And yeah, it's going to be a long day, but we're really looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. So this is the setup that we're going to be using today. We're testing something slightly different with the lighting. So you'll notice that one of the sound panels in the middle looks lit up by a light. So in the very bottom left corner, you can just see we've got a spotlight mount. And that spotlight mount is shooting light onto the ceiling, and then it's bouncing off the ceiling and down onto all of the speakers. So it's giving this really nice soft light that kind of wraps around their faces. Whereas the 2 lights that you can see in the shot, they're our key light. They're doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but it can produce quite stark contrast from the light side to the dark side of the face. So by using that bounce of the ceiling, we're giving this nice soft light that's able to kind of wrap around and bring up the shadows on the darker side. And we're really pleased with how it looks. So the day was split into 2 3-hour blocks with an hour break in the middle for lunch. That gave us 3 hours to record 3 episodes. So we had an hour per episode. Each recording ended up being 30 to 45 minutes, which was great because that gave us 15 to 20 minutes to take photos of the guests after they finished the recording, get them out of the studio, bring the new guests in for the next recording, brief them on what to expect, make any micro adjustments to the camera if needed, and then record their episode. So the timings worked really, really well. Everyone stick to schedule, and it ended up just being a really easy day, despite the fact we were recording so many episodes and so many people were passing through the studio. So there you go. We have wrapped on our intense day of recording podcasts. So we recorded 6 episodes for the Women's Utilities Network podcast, All for One. Nope, it's One for All. Yeah! Of the One for All podcast for the Women's Utilities Network. And Nick is currently backing up all of the audio recordings. All the video cameras are being backed up. And I think Nick and I have definitely deserved a day working from home tomorrow, I think. But it was a really good day. We had 19 people come to the studio in total. And it was a really good one. So it's Friday and we're back in the studio. I was wrong at the start of this video when I said we only had 1 recording this week. We had 2 recordings. So we had a recording this morning. We had a recording of The Wobbly Middle with Susanna and Patsy. It was a hybrid recording. So the hosts were in the studio and the guest was remote, and we set them a microphone last week. Nick is currently setting up for a very interesting recording that we have next week. So we say in the studio we can record 4 people. That's for 4 people for a video podcast or 4 people for an audio podcast. And we've got 2 sets. We've got like our desk, more corporate-y, serious set. And then we've also got kind of the sofa and armchairs look. Well, this client wants to have 8 people talking in the podcast. And at first we were like, we can't do that. And then we were like, well, maybe we can. So this is what we have created. This is 8 people sat round a podcast table. So the cable management needs a slight bit of improving, but I'm going to let Nick explain how this contraption works.
So it's actually really cool how it works, because typically we're limited to 4 microphones. So we use the Rodecaster Pro 2 every day, and then we used to have the Rodecaster Pro 1. And as I said, it limits you to 4 people, but we can do a thing called create an aggregate device. So we have these 4 in green going into the Pro 1. We've got the 2 red and the 2 black going into the Pro 2. And then we have both of them going into my MacBook and creating an aggregate device, which makes our recording software read it as if it's one thing together. And then we can record both separately to the SD cards. Then we can have it going into our backup on the Mac and recording all 8 microphones as if it's all one device. I think it's really cool. Needs a little bit of work, but I think it looks pretty great.
So whilst Nick was finishing up in the studio, I was packing up, getting all the camera equipment ready for a shoot early next week up in Blackburn, just outside of Liverpool. And that's the end of episode 2. If you enjoyed this, give me a follow, and perhaps in the comments, write down what you're up to this week. I'll see you in episode 3.